the incredible, the fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, come one and come all to a film you've never seen before. But remember, folks, no refunds.
Hello and welcome to No Refunds, the podcast where we watch bad movies so you don't have to. A Cold North joint. I'm your host, Ben Reynolds, and this week we watched Matthew Kassovitz' 2003 buddy cop film, Gothika. Joining me for this discussion...
You led with that. No. I was like, what?
I'll explain my reasoning there.
Okay.
Joining me for this discussion, we have Dapper Tim Miller.
Hello, I'm confused.
And Patrick the Law Morris.
Hey, everybody.
Check out everything we have going on over at coldnorthpro.com. And if you like what you hear, leave us a rating and review wherever you found our podcast. And now, Gothika.
Hello, Miranda. Welcome. You're one of us now.
You know I don't belong here, Chloe.
Oh, if you're here, it must mean that you belong. You are not a doctor in here. And even if you tell the truth, no one will listen. You know why? Because you're crazy. And the more you try to prove them wrong, the crazier you'll appear. You are invisible now. Can you feel it? Don't touch me. Are you scared? No. You should be.
All right. So here each week we read the plot synopsis that Google spits out when you Google the movie. So here, for Gothika, we have the life of psychiatrist Miranda Gray is derailed after she nearly hits a girl with her car one night. Later, Miranda wakes up in her own mental hospital under the care of her peer, Pete Graham. Completely disoriented, Miranda is accused of killing her own husband, but she has no memory of anything after she encountered the girl. Slowly, Miranda begins to uncover what happened, but she has to escape the asylum to solve the mystery.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah,
that's like right on the nose.
Like, yeah, Google's they've been on a hot streak lately.
Thanks a lot, Google. Don't you know this is how we get material?
With the exception of Godzilla, where they had the wrong fucking movie.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, can't be perfect all the time.
It's true. I like things that it's missing. Nothing really. Like, I mean, I guess they mentioned the husband. Maybe they could have said something about how, like, she worked for her husband. She was like, I felt like that was a little bit of a conflict of interest-y.
Okay.
Like, where she was like working for her husband, like directly underneath him.
You're opening so much right now. If we're going to talk about conflict of interest, because I was going to start with my disappointment in the nudity in this movie. But if we're going to talk,
makes you seem like a creep because we're talking about mentally insane women who are in a prison.
It's Penelope Cruz. Penelope Cruz. I don't even care. Penelope Cruz.
Well, Billy and Chris walked upstairs while I was watching the shower scene last night, and they were like, "Oh, nice shower scene." I was like, "No, not so nice."
It was managed to make a shower scene unsexy.
It was super not sexy. I was very disappointed, but we're talking about conflict of interest. Holy shit. They put her in the same hospital where she works with the patients that she treats to be treated by her peers.
Her friend who she admits that she was maybe interested in having an affair with, like very early on in her treatment by him.
As she works for her husband. Like, nothing in this movie was legal.
Yeah, no, that's definite. Well, like right when she comes up, Pete does say something about how they're probably going to transfer her very soon or whatever.
There was nowhere else.
Oh, okay. Like that, they're going to transfer her out of this hospital and like remove all of this conflict of interest stuff. Nope, never happened.
Nope.
They never get close to it.
Not even close. They don't even like Ben, you mentioned that Pete says that, and then that was literally it. They never concerned themselves with that ever again.
Yeah. I thought that was a little weird. Definitely.
Let's circle back here. Let's circle back both in the podcast to what we need to discuss, but also the movie.
I was just saying how the fact that she worked for her husband was conflict of interest.
I'm saying that the movie should have said, let's circle back to what we were mentioning when Pete said, this could be, we're going to get you transferred. This is temporary. And then it just turned into a permanent thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I did like the one lady who had been kind of her friend who was like, I'll just trying to do my job if these lights will stay on or whatever. I did like how that lady, her whole big thing was just trying to do her job. Like when Miranda's like, why are you doing this to me? And she's like, I'm just trying to do my job. The lights, you've mentioned the lights, and that's kind of what put me on this thought. But like, this was one of those movies where it's just like everything is haunted and everyone is super okay with it. Everyone is just like, oh yeah, that's totally normal. Yeah, the swimming in that swimming pool with it being like dark and like
why
in a thunderstorm.
I would not. Well, I mean, it was an indoor pool, so she would have been safe from the lightning. But why? I would not want to swim. I literally wrote down how creepy it would be to fucking swim in a pool that in the dark.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Dark pool would be scary. I guess, or I kind of guess it is, because I remember that those times when we broke into that pool in fucking Prospect, my mom's pool in Prospect late at night, and we swam in it in the dark, and I remember that being a little creepier than like just swimming in a pool.
Well, and remember that pool that we swam in with Hot Girl?
No.
Oh, there was that girl that I nicknamed Hot Girl because I couldn't remember her name. And,
when was this? In high school?
Yeah. There was that night we went camping and everyone got drinking tickets.
I don't even remember going swimming.
Oh, well, you were pretty blitzed. You slammed your face on the hood of your truck that night because you wanted to give it a hug.
Well, yeah, of course. I don't think I went swimming that night.
No, you definitely did.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. I also told that one girl she was pretty ugly.
You know, you're pretty ugly.
You're a dick.
True story.
I can see that going over well.
Anyways, we are in the weeds now.
Way off track. This isn't about a movie at all.
So yeah, like the lighting was interesting. I did kind of like the lighting, but yeah, you're right. How it's weird how everybody was just like, these lights are fucked up and weird. It's all right.
Every aspect of this world was just like, like, oh yeah, my house is dimly lit. Oh, it's thunderstorm all the time. It's like the boss is like packing up. Everyone's like finishing up work for the day, and it's pitch black outside, like it's fucking midnight, and everyone's just like, And it's
the middle of the winter. But they were in Connecticut, so if it was the middle of the winter, there should have been snow. Yeah. It's usually not that dark when, like, unless maybe they just work really late in the summertime. I don't know, or in the spring. I'm not sure.
So I actually made a note about this. I wrote, one of those movie settings where everything is creepy and nothing is normal, and the filmmakers seem to think this is a good substitute for building atmosphere.
Yeah.
There is some truth to that.
And I wrote, New England is always depicted as this magically perfect and creepy place in movies. I wish it was really like that.
It's not even close.
Being someone who moved to New England from outside of New England, disappointed by how not scary and perfect it is.
I mean, being someone who lived there pretty much my entire life and knowing it wasn't creepy in the least, like, it's all like, I always have a problem with movies trying to depict it like that because I'm like, no, it's not even close.
There's like Amityville and all those places and stuff in New England, so
still not as creepy as depicted.
It's not.
I'm sure, but nothing's as creepy as depicted.
I wish it was, though. I wish it was.
Patrick wishes his life was a horror movie.
But in general, like the only things that are ever like what, like I'm trying to think of the last time in real life that I was like as scared as I've ever been in a horror movie. And it was probably like in high school when I fucking thought I saw that ghost.
Oh man, I don't know, dude. We snuck into the sugar mill a lot.
That was never that scary too. Well, it was kind of scary, but it was scary in a different way.
That was scary. Again.
So
we're
yeah,
off track.
New England, not that scary.
Not as scary as advertised. You'll be disappointed.
So yeah, like, well, and then so obviously Robert Downey Jr. was like clearly in love with Halle Berry, and early on it seemed like they wanted you to think that he was like setting her up somehow, but then they just like kind of just like ignored that, and like we're just like, nah, no, you don't have to think that anymore.
Well,
honestly, I didn't get that at all. Like, one of my first notes here is, before I even knew his name, black dude is creepy as fuck, supportive though, thinks he's God. He's definitely going to end up killing someone.
Oh, wow.
I had never seen this before, but that was
Called
right in
it.
my notes.
Nice. I would have been happy with that.
Full disclosure, I saw this movie 15 years ago, like shortly after it came out with my girlfriend at the time. We watched it in her parents' basement. They had a pretty sweet home theater.
Hey,
it was pretty awesome.
Shout out.
Don't know that I was really actually paying that much attention to the movie. Might have been paying more attention to my girlfriend because I was like 15.
There you go. I think you were in 8th grade, so you were probably like 14.
Yeah, you're right. I was like 14, but it took me like a good solid, like usually I'm the one who's like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen. And it took me like a good solid halfway through the movie to where it clicked. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember exactly what happens.
Okay. So going back to me being a bad movie watcher, or maybe just a dumb movie watcher, I made a note at the end that I was like, Pete, I'm really sorry that I suspected you this entire time. Like, I clearly thought that because I have 2 notes about you being the bad guy. And
I was like, I wrote like RDJ is clearly in love with Hallie, and then I wrote, why the fuck? Oh, she's crazy. I don't remember what I was thinking there. And then I was like, feels like she's being set up. ... And then I was like, did Robert Downey Jr. kill Doug and set her up? And then I was like, is she a reliable narrator? And then shortly later, I was like, RDJ clearly wanted to bone her, and then he like admits that he did, and then I was like, but I don't think he would just like straight up admit to her that he wanted to bone her if he was the one who had done that. Although unless he was like counting on the fact that nobody'd believe her. But if he wanted to bone her, getting her husband killed and getting her fucking put in a mental prison is not a good way to bone her, unless he's going to be a creepy rapist.
But okay, yes, that's true. But this movie, there were a lot of characters, or at least one, that went about things in very unconventional ways. So Rachel, the ghost, was trying to...
Wait, you mean the buddy cop?
Ah, there you go. That's where you were going with that. Rachel,
that's not where I thought you were going with that.
And solved the mystery.
Was trying to exact her revenge on Doug, right?
Well, Doug and the sheriff.
Right. And she was trying to use Halle Berry to do that. Halle Berry's character is what, Melinda?
Miranda.
Heard her.
So she was trying to exact her revenge via Miranda by beating the shit out of her.
Yeah, that whole the whole scene where she just like throws her around the fucking cell was wild. Yeah. And they all come in, and the guy's like, "Oh, the way he said, oh, what a mess," was like she had like shit everywhere.
Maybe she had. You're getting the shit kicked out of you. Maybe
I don't know.
You lose control.
He literally like the amount of disgust in his voice when he says, "Oh, what a mess!" Literally, like she had just shit everywhere.
There was a ton of stuff on the floor. Some of it could have been crap.
It was mostly like fractured wood.
So there is one thing that like actually really did bother me, and it came up a couple of times throughout the movie that just never got any explanation. Why the fuck is there a racing wheel in Pete's office? Like in Pete's office. Oh, Ben, you're silent. I don't know why.
What's a racing wheel?
For like a video game. There's like
I didn't notice that.
Like a full-on steering wheel in Pete's office, and I'm thinking, is this motherfucker trying to like? Not only is he trying to bang his boss's wife, but is he playing video games on company time?
Yeah, he's got to
maybe it's therapy for his patients.
He's gonna let patients on the computer that has access to the security cameras.
No, it's he's gonna let them play a video game.
But he also has access to the security cameras on that computer.
But he could not let them have access to that part of the computer.
Pete's computer is too
Do you think
suspect.
He's not going to monitor them while he's using the fucking computer? Or while he lets them use the computer? This is also a really stupid...
This is a random...
Hey, why is there a racing wheel in his office?
Dude
Never
needs
know.
to get the fastest lap in Gran Turismo.
That is what we would call an unanswerable question.
Well, I think this movie is full of those.
Oh, yes, there are plenty of unanswerable questions. How about... Well, so at one point I made the note, so ... Her husband and the sheriff abducted and raped his boss's...
Oh, Ben is frozen. We're going to riff. Oh, you're back. His boss's daughter.
So her husband and the sheriff abducted and raped his boss's daughter, then killed her. That is fucked. This whole story is fucked. Why do I want to know about these people? Like, why did I care about this story? It was so fucked. Like, I didn't want to hear like about all of that. Like, I didn't need any of that.
Yeah, so this movie did a really, like, it could not decide what it was. The first, like, third of it was a psychological thriller. The middle, like, 50% was a ghost story. And then the last, like, quarter of it was about hunting down a murderer and rapist, like a real-life criminal. And it's like, what is this movie? Because they wanted it to... It feels like they wanted to just make 3 different movies, but they only had the budget for one. So they were like, we'll just make it work somehow.
It's true.
And none of it did.
Well, let's get to our questions this week. So for each film we go through, we'll revisit these 6 questions to lead our discussion. And the first one is, how bad was it?
Oh.
Not the worst movie we've watched, because that's easily still Gotti.
Exactly. But it was still pretty bad.
It was pretty bad.
I would put it up there with Gotti. God, this was a bad movie.
But Gotti, like, literally, there's not a plot. Like, there's not...
That's true.
Nothing that happened. Like, Gotti is just, like... Gotti was so bad. This is better than Gotti because there's at least a plot and you can like follow this and you're actually like interested to keep watching. Gotti, it's like after like 15 minutes, I was like, I don't need to watch any more of this. The only reason I'm going to is because we're doing a podcast about it.
Yes, I'm gonna put it above Gotti for the sole reason that it genuinely did scare me at some points.
Oh, the jump scares galore. I literally wrote that. The jump scares, like when she fucking like was in the cell and like ducked down and the fucking ghost was behind her. That scared the shit out of me.
That was scary. There were some moments that were scary. And like I consider myself, and this is like tough guy me talking, I consider myself fairly hard to scare with things like this because I used to be so scared of scary movies, like deathly scared of scary movies. But then I decided this is stupid. Like I should not be this afraid. And so I rented The Exorcist and Saw 2. And I just went in the basement at like midnight. And I went in my parents' basement at like midnight and shut all the lights off and I watched them alone. And I forced myself to watch them. And I got through both movies and it was like 4 a.m. And I was like, all right, now I'm not going to turn lights on. I'm just going to go upstairs and I'm going to go to sleep. And I'm just over this now. And ever since then, I've been over it. And now I can handle these things pretty easily. Like there are very few movies that scare me. I got through, this is like one of my biggest gaming achievements. I got through all of Resident Evil 7 in VR. I don't get that scared. And for this movie to scare me, I was like, yeah, good job, Gothika.
I wouldn't say that it scared me, but it jump scared me. Like,
yeah,
it surprised me. That's more surprising than scaring, I would say. Because it's
even
not like afterwards, it's not like I was like, oh shit, there might be a ghost in my closet. Like,
oh yeah, no, I wasn't like that.
If I was like that's how if I was scared, I would be like, oh fuck, there might be a ghost in my closet. And I was like, no, that it surprised me.
Okay, so it surprised me. Some jump scares. It gave me some jump scares.
Yeah.
Which Alien Isolation, Resident Evil 7 gave me those games scared me.
Resident Evil 2 gave me some jump scares too also. But yeah, I would say that it was probably like about on par with like maybe like Spider-Man 3.
Oh no, it wasn't as good as Spider-Man 3.
Oh, definitely not.
The cast was incredible. I loved I loved Robert Downey Jr. had his charming wit, and I was like, oh, that wasn't just like a thing that became like a Robert Downey Jr. thing with fucking Tony Stark. Like, he had the charming wit before Tony Stark.
Yeah, I wasn't under the impression it was a Tony Stark thing. I was under the impression it was like a post-drugs thing for him.
No, this was during.
I know, and that's what I'm saying, is it was obviously just a Robert Downey Jr. thing, not like a RDJ post-drugs thing, like I thought it was.
Fair enough. No, but yeah, I'd say I'd put it right around there with Spider-Man 3. Like, maybe not quite as good, but definitely nowhere near as bad as like Gotti, and probably better than Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor.
No.
I don't know if I go that far.
No, I would.
Yeah,
I would
that's
watch
a hard
Mummy.
sell.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, so what made it bad? I would say that probably one of the worst things with it was the plot was just absurd. Like, it seemed like the plot like was going in a couple different directions, but then like it's like you were saying, where it started out as like a suspense movie, and then it turned into a horror movie, and then it was like basically like a thriller, like,
yeah,
kind of at the end. And it's like that made the plot just weird and absurd. Like,
yeah, I think that part of what made the movie bad was movies in this style were very popular back then. So you had movies in like the late 90s, early 2000s, as early as the late 90s, and like as late as the early 2000s, that were very much like thriller style movies were very popular back then. Like rated R adult thrillers were popular, and they were fun. Like movies
The Game.
like that. The Game is one of the best movies I've ever seen. Primal Fear is a fun movie.
yeah, totally.
And this movie was trying to be one of those, like, hey, this is a cool thriller movie, but it didn't really land. It didn't stick the landing.
Well, because the supernatural aspect was kind of like shot that in, like, because usually those thrillers, it's like, oh yeah, and that's like if they just, I don't know why they needed the ghost.
It seemed weird. Seemed like a weird choice. Panic Room was another one that was all right.
Yeah, Panic Room's great. But we don't need to just talk about thrillers.
No. Yeah, no, I know. I'm just saying, like, this was definitely a trend back then, and this movie was trying to do that, but it didn't stick the landing. But I guess I'm reevaluating my take on the movie, because I'm not giving it enough credit, because I love those types of movies, and even though it's probably the worst of that type of movie, that like subgenre, it's still like enjoyable.
Yeah. The other thing that I really thought made it bad was the dialogue. And the best example of this I have found was Halle Berry and Robert Downey Jr. I'm pretty sure they were on the phone at this point. I don't remember why they were on the phone, but they were talking on the phone. And Robert Downey Jr. says to Halle, "I don't believe in ghosts." And Halle Berry responds, "Neither do I, but they believe in me."
I have that same line written down. It was just like that out of place.
What is it that at the very end when what's his name, Doug's partner, the sheriff, is just like, "This isn't logical." And what does she say? She's like, "Nothing's logical," or "Logic is overrated," or something like that.
Yeah, logic is overrated, I'm pretty sure is what she says.
It's just like, Jesus. First of all, who would yell, "This isn't logical"?
Well, and then he also like he gets so upset, like he's like, "But I would never hurt little animals."
That's really what offended him.
Yeah, out of all of that she said.
It's like, yes, I'm a kidnapping rapist, but
And I may have had a weird thing for my mom, but I would never hurt little animals.
you went one step too far there, Miranda.
Also, how did he get into the prison to rape Chloe in the scene where she sees him raping Chloe? Because if her husband was dead, then wouldn't his like easy insider track to getting into the prison to fuck inmates have begun, kind of?
I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I wondered about that.
And unless
some of the orderlies were in on it too, and they just didn't tell us.
This might open a can of worms that we don't want to open. So if it does, just shut it down.
Maybe another unanswerable question.
Is it racist? Are the tattoos racist? Because I feel like they were leading us to believe it was a Latino man.
I didn't feel like that.
Okay. Well, when his shirt came off, I felt like those tattoos looked way out of place on a bald, fat, white sheriff.
Well, it's a Catholic. It's a Catholic tattoo. It's like Catholic iconography. So, I mean,
all right.
There's a lot of Catholics. Yes, there are a lot of Latin Catholics, but there's also a lot of non-Latin Catholics, like Irish people.
Eric Miller, friend of the show.
Italians, Irish. Yeah, there's a lot of Catholics out there, man. Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
I just want to get this one thing in first. Going back to not what made this movie bad was, for me, it was what?
Oh, I was just waving at Joe.
Oh. Anyways, it just seemed like all the plot points were too instantaneous. They were too spontaneous. Like, she figured things out like way too quickly, and like it just kept spiraling. I felt like none of it like actually was cohesive. It's like I don't feel like she should have made that assumption from what she just saw. So
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
When she gets back to her house and she's like looking at like a picture or something, and all of a sudden like the drip of blood drops on it, and she thinks that it's her blood, and then she realizes that it's not her blood, and all of a sudden she's like, "I know exactly what's going on now." I was just like, what?
Also, whose blood was that?
Well, I think that the implication was that it was supposed to be the ghost dripping blood on the picture to show, because she was looking at the picture of her and her husband at the farm thing, and that's when she decided she needed to go look at the farm. But like the drip of blood dropping on the picture told her that she needed to go to the farm because she wasn't bleeding.
Yeah.
Yes, that was just the ghost being like, "Yep, you're on the right track." Good old buddy cop movie.
and again, I mentioned it earlier, but I'm going to go back to it. Is like, did this ghost want to help her? I mean, obviously it did. So why was it beating the shit out of her and like terrorizing her in the swimming pool? And like, I don't know. At one point I thought that there was a ghost in Penelope Cruz's cell. Like when you saw the tattoo, I thought that was just another ghost, and maybe this hospital was haunted. And I was like, so are there ghosts that are just haunting this hospital? And one of them is just constantly raping Penelope Cruz every night.
Another probably unanswerable question. If they did check Penelope Cruz with a rape kit, how did they not think that she was raped?
Maybe they were in on it too.
Or they didn't care enough. They felt.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they did talk a lot about self-inflicted injuries in there, so
That's true.
they felt
That
like
is true.
she possibly could have done that in her cell. They didn't feel the need to do any tests because they're crazy people. Why should we believe them?
Well, Robert Downey Jr. says that he did not check her, but that she was checked when she asks him.
Oh yeah,
That's
that's
true.
right. That's right.
It was weird. That was definitely another probably unanswerable question. But all right, so let's get to our third question, which is which character was the worst?
Woof.
I mean, well, it's pretty obviously it was fucking Greg and fucking the sheriff. Like,
Or
ugh.
was Doug, you mean?
Or oh yeah, Doug, not Greg.
Yeah, Doug was pretty bad. But was it okay? Yes, it's undeniable. What they were doing was pretty terrible. Hear me out. Was it Rachel? Because why was she doing this?
Because she had been raped and
No,
murdered?
yeah, but like, why was she beating the shit out of Hallie?
Because she was trying to get her a break out of the cell.
She's
That's
a
really the ultimate reason about it.
ghost. She can do so much better. And why would you hurt and try and kill the person you're trying to be like, hey, come on.
Okay. Well, so here, I'll explain this for you. So the first time when she was in the electronic glass wall cell, she was able to just be like, I don't believe in ghosts, but blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, that was
If
so
you
cool.
exist, open this door for me right now. And bam, the door opens because it was electronic. She could haunt the electronics.
Oh,
And they
I
moved her to the
gotcha.
other cell. And so that's like she had to fucking do something crazy to get them to open the door.
gotcha.
And then when she opened the door, she got out.
All right, I'm on board with Doug.
Yeah, Doug is the worst.
Fucking
Doug and the
worst.
sheriff were fucking. Oh god, so creepy.
David
so
Kettner wannabe.
Honestly, part of me wants to go with Robert Downey Jr.'s character. I know he was just doing his job, but he was so unreceptive to everything that she was telling him. Like he didn't believe a goddamn word of it.
And
Didn't
here's
even
your
try to believe it.
coworker that you've trusted.
But she did kill her husband, and that's what she was put in jail for.
Ooh, yeah.
And that's what he was basically saying. And she was also in denial about that. So she did seem fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Behind every lie, there is a kernel of truth, and he didn't even try to find it.
I get. Well,
He didn't believe in ghosts. But
Tim-
she did either, and they believed in her.
Tim,
The ghosts didn't believe it.
the ghosts believed in her. Tim, you make a good point because you know who else was just doing their job was the Nazis. But
Yeah, true.
I do have to side
But
with
that,
Ben.
okay,
I have
then
to
it was
side
the
with
nurse.
Ben.
It was the nurse because she was just doing her job.
I have to side
Yeah.
with Ben because if my coworker just went nuts and murdered her wife or her husband, I would be like, yeah, I probably don't trust you anymore.
That's
Yeah,
fair.
That would be it. Would be hard to trust her husband / your boss.
Also, if my coworker were a therapist,
Yeah.
something broke in you. So
So then, which character was the best / most compelling?
the guy that gave her the keys to his car.
The security guard at the desk. Yes.
Wait, no, that wasn't to his car. That was to her car, wasn't it?
No,
No.
he gave her the keys to his car. Also, very old car to have keyless entry.
Oh, at the end. Sorry, I was thinking of the guy at the after she gets out of the pool at the beginning, and when she's like, the guy's like, how many laps today?
Yeah, no, that's the same character. But
Oh, is it the same
later
guy?
on, when she gets out of the pool after the ghost scared her in the pool, and she's like hiding under the desk, and for some reason she gives him a look, and he's just like, all right, I'm going to trust you. And then he gives her the keys to his car, and he's like, take my car. Which, by the way, how'd he get home? And what explanation did he have to offer his coworkers?
I have no idea. I honestly don't think I really even noticed that scene. I'm not remembering that.
I didn't see her while I was eating a sandwich, and she stole my keys. Easy
Yeah,
explanation.
Like that. Yeah, yeah.
I guess that's right.
I mean, probably Robert Downey Jr. was maybe the best because he was not a creep like her old creepy husband, and she should have just probably gotten married to him in the beginning anyways.
Also, clearly a man who enjoys his hobbies.
Yeah, like Patrick.
Yeah. So.
I didn't. Well, I mean, he was charming. He had charming wit. He was obviously a brilliant psychologist. Because it's a shrink. Like the one guy is like, he's my best. He's the best doctor I have working for me now that you and your husband are both, or you murdered your husband and you're stuck in the prison yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, he was good at his job. He was devilishly handsome. Very charming.
And he went on to become Tony Stark.
Is
Yeah,
this
who
canonical
turns
with
down
the
Iron
MCU?
Man?
What?
Is this canonical with the MCU? Is
Didn't
Gothika
know.
the first MCU movie?
Catwoman and fucking Iron Man. Or I mean, sorry,
That's
Storm.
DC.
Storm.
Oh,
Storm
okay.
and Iron Man.
That's Fox.
But it's still Marvel, baby.
All right. No, better yet, it was Catwoman. There are multiple Halle Berry characters in the MCU crossed over with the DC CU.
Storm and Catwoman are actually the same person.
What?
Like David Blaine's street magic.
What the F, David
Stop putting
Blaine?
shit on our bodies! All right. So was it so bad it was good?
No.
No.
No, it was just bad.
This one does not. It doesn't get there. It was bad.
Yeah, it was real bad. And there was a lot that made it real bad.
Would it have been better as a Netflix/HBO series? Probably
I don't
not.
think so.
So I'm going to play devil's advocate here because I do agree with you guys, but I am going to play devil's advocate. If
Hear
they
you out.
had chosen one of the concepts and committed to it and made a series out of it. So, for example, if they had
But
chosen,
that's not what the question asks.
all right, all right, you got me.
I do agree that if it had just been like a horror movie or a thriller or
A
something like
psychological
that.
thriller.
Yeah, then I would watch that as a series, as a HBO series, because it would almost be like True Detective or The Haunting of Hill House if they had picked one or the other of those. But they went with both, and in a TV show, that would just make it even more confusing. And I feel like I would probably just think I was watching like Supernatural or something like that.
Billy
I don't know.
loves
That show
Supernatural.
good. I've never watched it.
Billy loves Supernatural and Kyle XY.
That's fair. I don't know anything about Kyle XY.
Ask Billy; he'll tell you about the guy that doesn't have a belly button.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Nice.
Tim, you agree? Would not have been good as a Netflix or HBO series.
Oh, definitely not. This movie was so all over the place. You would have had just a 10-hour span of all over the placeness.
Well, the first episode would have been so fucking boring. Like, there's just like a 10-minute sequence of her swimming laps.
Yep. And then a 30-minute interview with Chloe. That would have been it. That would have been the first episode.
Well, no, they might have been able to have the scene where she thinks she almost hits the fucking ghost.
That would have been like the cliffhanger of the first
Yeah,
episode.
Rachel. Yeah.
Yeah, this I think I even wrote that. Like that felt like the cutoff when they revealed that she's in the cell felt a lot like the end of a TV episode.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm gonna go with a hard no. This would have been worse as a TV series because it would have just been longer and more of the same.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, now that we've finished our questions, it's time for our favorite segment, half-assed internet research.
I'm excited for this. I can't wait to hear about the sequel that was never made.
Unfortunately, I don't think there was one on this.
Damn it. That's a pretty popular thing in half-assed internet research.
So we'll start out where we usually end in half-assed internet research, because I couldn't find a ton, but I found some fairly interesting stuff. But so yeah, it was made with an estimated budget of $40 million. It opened at opening weekend in the U.S. It did $19 million. It opened second to Cat in the Hat. Go Mike Myers. Also,
terrible movie. Maybe one that we'll watch on this podcast someday.
Maybe. So it in total domestically it did $59.6 million, and then worldwide it did $81.9 million for a total of $141.5 million. So it's actually not a
no.
In box office, it was successable.
Yeah.
Like, they made $100 million on this movie, so
it made its budget back. So
no, they made $100 million after the budget.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, you gotta account for marketing, which usually they spend at least as much on marketing as they do on the movie, but that's still, you're walking to the bank with $50 million, and like, it's interesting that you bring this up, Ben, because God, I don't know why more studios don't make horror movies like this. Because what was that Ethan Hawke movie from a couple of years ago? It was a
Blumhouse, I think. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Okay. But horror movies can be made on a micro budget, right? And they're like, they can make so much money. Like,
but I don't think they do anymore. Is the big problem.
Paranormal Activity.
And I think that's why, like, as we're seeing with like Blumhouse and like the A24, like half the movies that A24 makes are horror movies, and that
Sinister is the one I was thinking of.
Yeah, okay,
Sinister made like $400 million.
Well, and who's probably been the most successful, like, non-major player in the movie business in the last, like, 5 years? A24, who makes primarily Blumhouse movies that are movies like Sinister, It Follows. Like, A24 did all of those movies.
It Follows, that's another one. And, like, Sinister was made... Do you know the budget for Sinister? I think it grossed, like, $400 million. Just guess. Don't even look it up. Just guess.
15 million.
Ben?
I'm not positive.
Sinister was made for $7 million.
Fair enough. Well, that's so you weren't on the I Know What You Did Last Summer podcast, but we talked a little bit about this as well, because that was another horror movie, and we talked about how because there's talk of I Know What You Did Last Summer being remade, and we were saying how it'd be great if Blumhouse and A24 were involved.
Yeah.
They're going to be, but yeah, no, I mean, you're right that horror.
Don't know why there aren't movies like this. More of them.
Well, if you Jordan Peele's new movie is another horror movie.
Ooh,
and Get Out he made. So.
Isn't his new one called Us or something?
Yes.
Yeah, that movie looks good.
All right. So this was actually Halle Berry actually broke her arm during the filming of a scene with Robert Downey Jr. in the hospital interrogation. Downey was supposed to grab her arm and twist, but apparently he twisted too hard and snapped her arm.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and then they had to halt production for 8 weeks. But that's why in some of the scenes with where her arm's in the bandage, it looks almost more like a cast. Because
really?
Because I definitely noticed that at times. I was like, man, that's a pretty sturdy like bandage they've got on her arm, and it's because it's cast.
That's really interesting. I like seeing like little things like that are just like they're hiding something.
Yeah.
Oh, that coke strength.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's good. Now we know it's like Iron Man is canonically stronger than Catwoman.
Yeah. But is he stronger than Storm? Who knows?
Obviously, they're the same person. We've already established this.
And so this was Matthew Kasowitz's directorial debut in an American film production. It was also his last.
Oh, poor guy.
He's a French filmmaker and also an actor, actually. He's best known for playing Nino in the French film Amélie, which is a pretty popular film, actually.
Yeah, there are some people in the movie business that I just end up feeling really bad for because of things like this. Like, the record for the biggest box office flop of all time was a CGI movie called Delgo that starred Freddie Prinze Jr. And that movie came out in like 2008, I think, maybe 2007. And it held the record for like 5 years. And then in his first starring role, Taylor Kitsch, his movie John Carter, took the record. And it became the biggest box office flop of all time. And then
Battleship.
3 weeks later, Taylor Kitsch's next starring role, Battleship, took the record again. And it's like, I just feel bad for Taylor Kitsch. Like, dude's a good actor. And he just kind of got screwed over. And so I guess I do feel bad. Like, I feel bad for that director a little bit.
I don't think he's too sad about it based on his IMDb. I think he just went back to France and did more French filmmaking and was
didn't lose
fine.
too much sleep over it.
I don't think so.
All right.
So this was also the first time that John Carroll Lynch portrayed a serial killer. The second time he was the suspected Zodiac killer in Arthur Lee Allen in Zodiac.
Great movie.
With
RDJ.
RDJ was in that as well. And then the third and fourth times he was cast as Twisty the Clown and John Wayne Gacy, which are the same person, are they not? Was Twisty the Clown not the name of the clown that John Wayne Gacy dressed up as?
Wait, what movie is that?
John Wayne Gacy is a real person.
Right, but what movie was he in playing John Wayne Gacy?
Oh, it was in this says I haven't ever watched any of American Horror Story, but he was apparently Twisty the Clown and John Wayne Gacy in the 4th and 5th seasons of American Horror Story.
I've never watched it.
I really don't know.
I haven't either.
Yeah, so I was kind of confused about that because I thought that they had a new cast every year. And then I was also like, wait, but I thought that the John Wayne Gacy's clown that he dressed up as was named Twisty the Clown. I really don't know that much about John Wayne Gacy. Maybe I need to listen to some podcast about John Wayne Gacy.
I also don't know that much about American Horror Story.
Nor do I. I haven't watched any of them. Billy has also watched those. Maybe I'll go ask him.
Sam's a big fan.
So I also Roger Ebert, old Raj, one of our faves, friend of the podcast. R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
Of the Chicago Sun-Times, gave the film 3 out of 4 stars.
No way.
He said the plot is preposterous, but nonetheless felt that stylish direction and Halle Berry's performance made Gothika enjoyable on its own lurid terms. The casting of Halle Berry is useful to the movie because she evokes a vulnerable quality that triggers our concern. Hitchcock might have wanted to work with her. He didn't cast so much for acting ability as for an innate quality. And I found that very interesting because I do actually agree with what he says there, that she has like a vulnerability, definitely. And I found that I agreed with that. While I agreed with those sentences, I don't necessarily agree that it deserves 3 out of 4 stars. No,
it doesn't deserve 3 out of 4, but Halle Berry is a great actress. Like,
absolutely.
One of the best of our time.
Absolutely. And then the last little bit I have is that the film contains a terrible cover of Behind Blue Eyes by Limp Bizkit. The cover is not available on the soundtrack, but it is in the movie, and it is terrible. So do yourself a favor and don't listen to that. Just listen to the fucking Who version if you're going to listen to Behind Blue Eyes, because nobody wants to hear fucking Fred Durst sing about nobody knowing what it's like.
All right, 2 things. One, are you implying that, not even implying, are you saying that Limp Bizkit did a bad cover? Because that's not Okay. And
I
two,
keep saying that, yes.
and two, was it as bad as the heavy metal cover of Summer Dreams from the beginning of I Know What You Did Last Summer?
It was worse.
Yeah, it's worse than
Oh
that.
God.
It's definitely like it's like put that song put it on.
Chocolate Starfish.
It's so bad. I guess, but they should stick to their weird rap rock shit that Limp Bizkit does, not doing covers of fucking good songs that require somebody to actually like sing.
They're weird rap rock
can't
shit.
fucking sing.
Okay, truth.
Yeah. So that wraps up our half-assed internet research there. But since we don't only watch bad movies and TV, let's talk about some of the stuff that we have genuinely enjoyed watching lately. Tim?
So I watched Battleship and John Carter. No, I'm kidding.
Let me tell you, Rihanna. Whew.
Great
I
actress.
actually did see both of those movies in theater.
That doesn't
anyways,
surprise
I
me about
walked
you.
into Battleship in the theater, but I don't think I had paid. And I think we sat for like 15 minutes and then we left because we were like, I think it was when we were going to see something at midnight and we were doing the whole like, just
Men in
let's
Black
go
3.
watch like a little bit of other movies and see what we can see. No, because you and I just went to see Men in Black 3 together by ourselves. I'm pretty sure it was something that we went and saw at like Westminster or Flatirons and we went with like a group.
No,
I don't
I
know.
definitely know that I saw Men in Black 3 at midnight with you, and it was me, you, and Ethan, wasn't it? And I remember watching Men in Black 3 thinking, Jesus, why did I stay up for this movie?
Well, in any case, we were talking about walking
Yes.
into a theater and seeing Battleship. But in
And
any
it wasn't
case,
great.
we're really talking about what Tim has enjoyed watching this week. So let's get back to that.
all right. So I've really been on a kick for Mel Brooks movies. So I've been watching like old classics like Spaceballs and Blazing Saddles and
So-
Robin Hood Men in Tights. All the great
Oh, man.
classics.
One
That's-
of
yeah.
the best Mel Brooks just bits is the toll booth in Blazing Saddles. Somebody go back and get us a shitload of dimes.
Yep. Like they can't go around. Nope. We got to adhere to the law, boys. We're lawbreakers, but this we have to do.
A shitload of dimes.
That movie's great.
Yeah, I love all of those movies. Absolutely.
The
Patrick, how about you? Oh, sorry. You
Oh,
had
I was
something
just
you
going
wanted
to say, the best one is History of the World.
Part 1.
Yes. I wish there had been a part 2.
I don't know that I've ever seen that, actually.
It's the best one. I mean, The Inquisition, the musical.
The Inquisition.
Oh,
Let's
no, I have.
begin.
I have not seen it probably since I was like 12.
Oh, dude, you should rewatch
Rewatch
that
it.
movie. Plumbing.
Yeah, I forgot the whole Inquisition. Yeah, no, yeah, the Inquisition reminded me of seeing that.
Pipe the shit right out of your house.
In any case, Patrick, what have you been watching?
Nothing good.
Oh no,
I watched The Bachelor.
our
And
friend
that-
has fallen.
That show is dumb, but really interesting and really
Do
fun
you,
to
do you
watch.
listen to Bachelor Party afterwards?
I don't. I actually don't consume anything on The Bachelor besides the 3 main shows, which are Bachelor.
Evening shows.
There's Bachelor, Bachelorette, and Bachelor in Paradise, which is the best one because they're all just looking. It's all the shitty people from the 2 main shows, just looking to smash each other in Mexico for like 8 weeks.
That sounds weird.
I'd be down for that.
It's a pretty fun show to watch. But I watched The Bachelor, and it's a fun show to watch, and I have discovered in watching past seasons that I just got to follow my dick. I just pick the girl that is the hottest, that I think is the hottest in the first episode, and she's the winner. And so this season, it's either going to be, and I'm going to put this on record on our podcast, it's either going to be Hannah G or Cassie. So
I only know one person in life named Cassie, and she is terrible.
yeah, But
I knew a Hannah, and she was actually pretty hot. So I'll give that one to you.
So I'm sorry that I haven't been watching anything good, but I have been watching something.
That's fair. That's fair. Me personally, I didn't watch anything really like new this week, but I've been keeping up with True Detective, and hot damn, we are a week away from the final episode, and shit is popping off. If you aren't caught up, oh man, catch up, because that show is fucking good.
Is it as good as the first season?
That's like one of the no. I mean, no, I don't think but it's I don't know. It's because they're not like connected. I mean, they're only loosely connected. They did actually connect them in the last episode, so they do exist in the same world. But it's such a different story, and I don't know how it ends, so I can't judge yet. But
okay, all right. I don't want to know anything else.
Freaking good though. It's really freaking good.
All right, I don't want to know anything else because I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Well, that wraps up this week's discussion of Gothika. Don't forget to check out our incredible website, coldnorthpro.com, where you can see
a great
I was like,
website.
What's the pause for?
I was pausing, and then he didn't come, and so I was just going to go, and then he said it. But where you can see everything we do in one place. Listen to us weekly on our other gaming podcast, Hard Reset. And next time, friend of the podcast, Paul W.S. Anderson, makes his triumphant return with the 2002 film Resident Evil. See you next time, and don't forget, no refunds.
What do you mean no refunds? I was promised my money back.